Story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. A suicide bomber blew up himself on Friday night in the highly populated Arawa area of Gombe State, killing more than 15 people. CoreTV News gathered that the bomber struck a few minutes after 8 p.m. in the area, described as a small market where people usually gather or pass en route their houses. There were also fears on the part of the people of Gombe on the spate of bombings in the state. It's the fourth time in 16 days that the northeastern state would be suicide bombed. On New Year's Eve, the 301 Mami market, situated inside the only military barracks in the capital city, was bombed. On the fourth day of the year, a suicide bomber detonated a bomb at the evangelical church Winning All Ekwa in Tudun, Wada, during the New Year's Day service, killing an unspecified number of people. On January 13, a bomb exploded beside a mosque in Tasomacha near Gombe State University, killing one person and injuring a few others. Earlier in December, those soldiers at the Bajoga area of the town killed a suicide bomber who failed in his attempt to detonate a bomb at the military checkpoint and then made to escape. The United Nations on Friday says hundreds of refugees who fled deadly Boko Haram attacks earlier this month are being sent back from Niger to northeastern Nigeria, voicing concern that the development might not be voluntary. The UN Refugee Agency said it remained unclear whether the refugees were being forced to return home despite dangerous conditions.
We're very concerned about anybody going back, any refugees going back to this area of Nigeria because of the situation there. Obviously, we have little information of what is happening inside, but from all the media reports, we know that there's a lot of violence and attacks happening, and that's why it's very important that nobody is forced to go back. According to information received by UNHCR, the refugees were transported in 9 buses to Maiduguri, the capital of Borno State in Nigeria. Another 11 buses are currently parked in the town of Gagamari in Niger's Difa region, waiting to take more refugees back to Nigeria. Given the volatile security situation in Borno State and the recent attacks by Boko Haram insurgents, UNHCR is concerned about the nature of these returns and has asked the authorities to stop this operation until there are proper safeguards and a legal framework between Nigeria, Niger, and UNHCR.
Meanwhile, hope might just be on the way as the federal government says it is evolving a holistic string approach to curb insurgency in the country. At a media briefing on countering violent extremism organized by the Office of the National Security Advisor in collaboration with the European Union, government officials say they explored new approach alongside legislation to overcome the challenge. They explained that the prisons will be used as an instrument of change rather than punishment.
The mandate is that you must do certain programs to de-radicalize them. And the certain programs include a whole gamut of things, giving them psychological trainings, educational, vocational. The religious imams must sit with them, and they must sit with them in a good and comfortable place in line with what the world has said is international best practice. We don't want to make ours different. So for these level of programs to take place, you've got to have the right facility. But like I say, it's in the yard. Those same facilities are going to be used for all inmates. And it forms a platform of training the trainers for our people. While government is trying to also improve other infrastructure, we're having platforms that we have good environment offered, good classrooms, every classroom, right sports facilities. Because seeing is believing. And like the EU man said, I keep saying, you want to win the hearts and minds of the people, because insurgency is not easy.
President Goodluck Jonathan has, for the first time in nearly 2 years, paid a surprise visit to Maiduguri, the Borno state capital. During the 3-hour-long visit, he addressed troops, visited soldiers at the hospital, and met thousands of people displaced from Baga, the strategic town near Lake Chad. President Jonathan expressed confidence in the ability of the troops to recapture territories presently occupied by the insurgents. He also assured displaced persons that they will soon be back in their ancestral homes.
Let me reassure all Nigerians and indeed the internally displaced person that government is working very hard to make sure that you don't stay in these camps.
In another development, the All Progressives Congress has congratulated President Jonathan for visiting Maiduguri, the Borno state capital, and meeting troops battling the Boko Haram insurgency. It now wants him to make similar trips to Chibok, Bunin Yadi, Potiskum, and other places where insurgents had carried out their atrocities. The party said in a statement issued by its spokesman, Lai Mohammed, that it's only by doing so that the president can refute suggestions that his visit to Maiduguri was meant to pave way for his impending campaign in northern Nigeria. APC also challenged Jonathan to address the issue of low morale of the troops and inadequate weaponry. Meanwhile, the APC Presidential Campaign Organization says the Jonathan administration owes Nigerians an explanation on what it called the phantom ceasefire with the Boko Haram. It said in a statement by its spokesman, Garba Shehu, that a democratic government should be open and accountable to the people rather than maintain what it terms a curious silence. The party recalled that on October 17, 2014, the Chief of Defense Staff Alex Bade told an expectant nation that a ceasefire deal that also include the immediate release of the kidnapped Chibok girls has been reached. But within 24 hours, the leader of the insurgents, Abubakar Shekau, released a video message that brushed off any deal with the government and denied Danladi Amadou, the so-called Boko Haram representative, at the ceasefire talks. APC wondered why the Jonathan administration has not deemed it fit to offer the citizens an explanation on an issue of public importance. French news agency AFP reports that dozens of Chadian tanks are headed towards Cameroon to help fight Boko Haram insurgents. The agency said the tanks left N'Djamena on Friday after Chad's parliament voted to send armed forces to Cameroon and Nigeria to fight against the insurgents. The parliament had earlier in the day voted 150-0 to send an unspecified number of armed troops and security forces to assist Cameroonian and Nigerian soldiers in the war against insurgency. And the Plateau State Police Command has begun a mop operation of illegal arms in the state. This follows the directive of the Inspector General of Police, Sulaiman Abba, that all persons in possession of illegal arms in the country should surrender them to appropriate quarters. The Commissioner of Police in Plateau, Nasiru Oki, issued a similar statement and a stern warning to all residents in the state to go to the nearest police station and give up their arms. All of the arms in their possessions. The unrest that have gripped the state in the last 12 years is widely believed to have fueled the proliferation of arms across the state. Oki said that in view of the forthcoming general elections, it has now become imperative that arms cannot be left in the hands of thugs in the state.
The ongoing silent killings in Plateau State have been blamed on the fallout of arms in the hands of bandits and thugs. In order to curb the proliferation of arms in the state and ensure safety of lives and property, The police commissioner, Nasri Oke, has read the riot act to all residents keeping dangerous weapons to willingly surrender them before they are apprehended and made to face the wrath of the law.
That we should mop up all arms that are in illegal hands. He categorically gave the instructions that we should mop up arms in wrong hands, and especially arms that are in the hands of thugs. Because it's a different thing. Some people carry arms in their houses. Some thugs carry it about. Since electionary is coming, election is coming. So thugs too, who have it in their possession, we are appealing to them to equally surrender. If they refuse to surrender, we will get them. We will pursue them. We will go to them. Take the battle to their doorsteps.
The police boss said his men have laid down strategies to retrieve the illegal weapons from members of the public, keeping them. He added that those who fail to heed to his appeal will be dealt with in accordance to the law, no matter how highly placed.
And if after some time they refuse, we may be tempted to use force to get all those arms from them. It's a matter of cordoning up, searching this seriously, and bringing those arms out. And at that stage, anybody found with arms will definitely be charged to court and prosecuted accordingly.
Oki said the directive is from the highest command of the force and will be religiously followed.
But so far, we are appealing that those who have arms in their possession should surrender them voluntarily.
The Plateau State Commissioner of Police said nothing will be taken for granted, especially as tension mounts ahead of 2015 elections.
We're on to CoreTV Primetime News. We'll take a break now, and I'll be back with more stories if you stay with us.
Niger has got her pulse back. Now you can call from your campus and from over 500 other campuses at 11 copies per second all day to any network, plus lots of other awesome benefits. Dial *406#. Step into the pulsing zone. It's MTN iPulse, baby. Back, bigger, and better.
Awesome P. MTN. Everywhere you go.
Dose of Scott's Emotion, which combines omega-3, calcium, vitamins A and D, supports the healthy development of your child's brain and body. Scott's Emotion promotes active minds and strong immunity in growing children. New Scott's orange flavor multivitamin emulsion.
Mommy Bola le karo. Yakudi e karo customer.
Make we dey always follow our conscience because e dey tell us the correct thing.
I suppose Sabi waiting good.
Do the right thing. Let's change the way we think.
Thanks for joining us again. You're on to CoreTV Primetime News. Another look at our top stars. Again, suicide bomber strikes Gombe, leaving over 15 people dead. United Nations warns against return of displaced Nigerians in Niger Republic to Boko Haram's hotbed. Fears as bird flu virus resurfaces in Lagos and Kano. You can get all of our top stories on any of our social media platforms. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/CoreTV News. Our Twitter handle is at CoreTV News NJ. We're streaming live on YouTube. It's youtube.com/CoreTV, with a space and news. Moving on now, the Nigerian authorities say bird flu is back in the country. This was after the discovery of what government officials described as an unusual high mortality in 2 poultry farms and live bird markets in Kano and Lagos states. The Federal Ministry of Agriculture said in a statement that samples forwarded to the National Veterinary Research Institute tested positive for H5 strain of bird flu. Government officials have now sent confirmatory samples to the International Reference Laboratory in Padova, Italy for further characterization. They have also quarantined the infected premises and placed restriction on movement of poultry and poultry products into and out of areas around infected premises. President Goodluck Jonathan on Friday took his campaign ahead of next month's presidential election to Ebonyi State. The president, who was joined by the top echelon of the PDP, also had his wife Patience Jonathan on the campaign train. Shortly before her, top party officials, among them the PDP's chairman Adamu Mohazu and the former governor of Ebonyi State Sam Ego, praised the qualities inherent in the president and his achievements. Jonathan, on mounting the podium, outlines the potentials of the state and promised to raise his present level of development further if returned to office as president. Jonathan vows that Nigeria through Ebonyi State will be in the next 4 years stop the importation of rice and create more jobs through mechanized farming. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has released a list of 88 observer groups approved for the 2015 general elections. INEC reviewed these in a statement posted on its website. It noted that the approved groups complied with the requirements and guidelines on accreditation of observers. The list showed that 16 of the observers are international bodies, while 72 are local groups. The international teams are mainly those of diplomatic missions and foreign non-governmental organizations, including the International Republican Institute and the National Democratic Institute. Prominent among the accredited domestic groups are the Nigerian Bar Association, Transition Monitoring Group, Police Service Commission, and Center for Democracy and Development. Meanwhile, INEC has also slated a meeting for Tuesday next week on modalities for internally displaced persons in the Northeast to vote in the February elections. INEC said in its daily bulletin on Friday that representatives of Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa states are expected at the meeting holding in Abuja. The Commission has also invited the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, as well as past and present resident electoral commissioners of the 3 states to the stakeholders meeting. Students of the University of Benin have given a 48-hour deadline to Edo State Governor Comrade Adams Oshomole to immediately reconstruct the institution's staff quarters demolished 2 weeks ago. The students said failure to carry out the action will lead to civil disobedience across the Benin metropolis. President of the Student Union Government, Mafidon Hide, who disclosed this at a news briefing at the June 12 building of the Ubowo campus of Uniben, said the warning starts from Friday, January 16, 2015.
Beginning from today, 16th January 2015, we are by this forum giving the state governor a 48-hour notice to act accordingly and equally apologizes for his action in ordering and personally supervising the demolition of the university's buildings. For the avoidance of doubts, we are also demanded that one Tony Kabaka be arrested and persecuted for mobilizing and intimidating members of the University of Benin staff. We further stated that the building in question be immediately reconstructed to continue accommodating affected staff, pending determination of the case.
He added that all offices, fuel stations, markets, schools, banks, and hospitals will be shut as a result of the civil disobedience if the state governor refuses to abide by the warning.
owing to the blatant refusal of the government of Edo State to the above needful, we are constrained to inform that we shall call for civil disobedience in the state, in which all officers, fuel stations, markets, schools, banks, hospitals, etc. will be closed. This is necessary to forestall untold consequences. We wish to express our profound appreciation to the ASU, NASU, SANU, NATS, the NANS, and the general public for their show of solidarity and support in this noble struggle to restore sanity in our states.
The last is yet to be heard of the after effects of the 9/11 U.S. terrorist attacks in 2007, as ex-security officers of Chevron Nigeria have come out to protest the unjust treatment meted on them. The protesters say they were recruited in 1988 as security officers and sent to Police College Ikeja in Lagos to acquire elementary training before they commenced their official duties. According to them, they had been duly paid until in 2002 when an unsigned document of retrenchment was given to them on the excuse that there had been an order to downsize the company's staff strength following the 9/11 attacks. Following the development, they were redeployed to the Nigerian police force, which turned them down, and they were never employed by the NPF. The protesters, who say they have sought redress in court over the issue, wondered why Chevron has refused to yield to their
demand. When we are talking of documents, it's clearly stated here that the agreements have 6 witnesses to call, and the trial and the human beings of witnesses, the court give another okay, there's this one, okay. Talking about documents. The claimant's list of documents with 6 documents is dated this. The claimant also filed an additional list of documents with 12 documents. You can see. They also filed another list of additional documents with 2 documents, making 12 documents. Chevron did not tell anyone.
They added that in an attempt by Chevron to pay them what they claimed meager compensation, the oil giant was invited by their counsel, Femi Falana, was outrightly turned down.
This is the minute of the meeting we had with Chevron regarding the settlement out of court.
That was what they told you.
Yeah, put stipends in our pocket, considering the fact that we were aging out.
In furtherance of their bid to acquire more knowledge, mass communication students of Olabisi Onabanjo University Agoiwoye in Ogun State paid a study visit to CoreTV News in Lagos, and this, they say, is to broaden their horizon in their chosen career. Olajumoke Olatunji has more.
Education, they say, is the bedrock of any nation, and knowledge is not a product of schooling, but a lifelong attempt to acquire it. This, no doubt, motivated the mass communication students of the Olabisi Onabanjo University to make a study tour to the Lagos studios of CoreTV News. They met with the managing director of CoreTV News, Olajide Adediro, who gave them tips of surviving in their chosen career, especially the media world.
Gentlemen, I am telling you today that if you take that opportunity you see around you, that thing you call challenges, for me, it's an opportunity. If you take it, you can be what you want to be. If tomorrow comes, I'm not saying immediate tomorrow, you will then go back to what I'm telling you today. The people that we have today, working as our reporters, as our news editors and producers, just like you. So for me, anybody can do anything. That's the truth. All you need to do, just believe.
After the interactive session with the management of CoreTV News, the students took time out to tour the different departments of the broadcasting house. Some of the students spoke on what they have learned and will be taken back to their school.
I've been able to, I've gained more exposure
to the media world because it has always been theoretical aspects.
What I saw at the master control room was amazing. I really, really want to come here to work if I'm opportune to.
Now I know I don't have the knowledge of what prompter is. I have the knowledge of what studio looks like. I know what audio mix is, so it's that sense for me. I don't forget.
Well, I'm taking a lot of experience away from here. I came here empty, and I'm not going to go back the same way I came here. Today has really been fun. Apart from fun, I've gained a lot of experience.
By 300 level, I'm going to be doing my IT, which I'm going to be coming here to do my IT because I would like to work with CoreTV Media. In fact, it's something, just because they believe in the lives of we the young people, I would like to really work with the house.
History has been made with the students being the first set to visit CoreTV News. It is only hoped that the study will help in making them model professionals. Olajumoke Olatunji, CoreTV News, Lagos.
We want to say a big thank you to CoreTV Media. This is an experience unforgettable.
Yes, sir.
We want to say a big thank you so much for believing in our...
This is Lagos, and you're watching CoreTV Primetime News. We'll take another break now. I'll be back with business, sports, and other stars.
Niger has got her pulse back. Now you can call from your campus and from over 500 other campuses at 11 cover per second all day to any network, plus lots of other awesome benefits. Dial *406#. Step into the pulsing zone. It's MTN iPulse, baby. Back, bigger, and better.
Pulse P. MTN. Everywhere you go.
Daily dose of Scott's Emotion, which combines omega-3, calcium, vitamins A and D, supports the healthy development of your child's brain and body. Scott's Emotion promotes active minds and strong immunity in growing children. New Scott's orange flavor multivitamin emotion.
On business tonight, federal revenue has dropped further by 10 billion naira to 490.031 billion naira compared to 500.076 billion naira received in the previous month. Indications to this were reviewed by Minister of State for Finance Bashir Yuguda at the Federation Account Allocation meeting in Abuja. He also disclosed that 580.378 billion naira was shared among the 3 tiers of government.
For this month of January, is 73 billion 406, distributed among, again, the 3 tiers of government. For VAT, obviously, the states get the higher portion of the VAT. And then we go to the grand summary on the VAT, on the exchange gain. And of course, this month, again, we have a refund from the NMPC to the federal government in the sum of 6 billion, 6.3 billion. So the grand total for the month of January is 580 billion 378 that will go to the federal government and the various states.
Brent oil rose more than $2 to almost $50 a barrel on Friday after the West Energy watchdog forecast the market's downtrend would end. Analysts said a strong rebound soon was unlikely as global output continued to outweigh demand. Oil prices have dropped by nearly 60% since June as production around the world has soared, outstripping demand at a time of lackluster global economic growth. The International Energy Agency IEA said oil prices could fall before they recovered, but there were signs lower prices were beginning to curb production in some areas, including North America. The IEA said in its monthly report on Friday that how low the market's floor will be is anybody's guess, but the sell-off is having an impact. It says a price recovery, barring any major disruption, may not be imminent, but signs are mounting that the tide will indeed turn. On sports tonight, host Equatorial Guinea will get the 2015 Africa Cup of Nations underway when they face Congo in the tournament. Details of that coming up after we get details now from Sabena Izoku from the Stock Market Exchange. Stick around.
CoreTV News Stock Market Report is brought to you by MTN.
MTN, everywhere you go.
Hello there and welcome to the Stock Market Report segment with me, Sabena Izuku. The equities market on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange closed on a positive note today as the Nigerian All Shares Index appreciated by 0.78% to close at 29,034.89 basis points. The market capitalization increased in the same manner to close at 9.67 trillion naira. In all, a total volume of 261.31 million units of shares valued at 2.87 billion naira were exchanged in 4,030 deals. Nestle topped the gainers chart to close at 815 naira with 15 naira 40 kobo gain, followed by United Africa Company of Nigeria Flour Mill, Seplat Oil, and International Brewers. On the flip side, Guinness topped the chart, trailed by PZ Cussons, Nigerian Breweries, GlaxoSmithKline, and UAN Properties. Meanwhile, Access Bank topped the highest traders today, followed by Transcorp, First City Merchant Bank, First Bank of Nigeria Holdings, and Fidelity Bank. Just before we wrap up the stock market report, here's the currency trade for today.
CoreTV News Stock Market Report is brought to you by MTN.
MTN, everywhere you go.
And now to sport, hosts Equatorial Guinea will get the 2015 Africa Cup of Nations underway when they face Congo in the tournament's opening match on Saturday, 17th January. Kickoff for the Group A clash at Estadio de Bata is set for 1800 Central African time. Equatorial Guinea were regionally expelled from the 2015 AFCON in the qualifying phase after fielding an ineligible player, but Morocco's withdrawal as hosts allowed the Central West African nation to step in and pick up the role of host at the last minute. The Red Devils also have a greater pedigree in the Nations Cup, having won the tournament in 1972 in Cameroon. However, they have not been regular qualifiers for the finals in the decades after that triumph and will be looking to re-establish their reputation in 2015. The teams have met in 6 previous official international matches, and Congo have claimed 5 wins compared to Equatorial Guinea's 1. This will be their 4th clash in the African Cup of Nations finals. The most recent match was a friendly in N'Djamena. That was in March 2007, and Congo won 2-1. The Under-23 coach has alerted the Nigeria Football Federation that he would be needing the services of the Arsenal youngster in his team and has beckoned on the federation to convince the Gunners. Under-23 head coach Samson Siasia has confirmed that he would hand Arsenal midfielder Alex Iwobi his first Nigeria cap during the tour of Tunisia if the Nigeria Football Federation are able to convince his club to allow him extended stay with the team. Siasia hinted that the youngster has shown enough quality and willingness to represent the country of his birth, despite the preference of his coach at Arsenal, Arsene Wenger, for him to represent England. Iwobi's father, Chuka, hails from Onitsha in Anambra State, and he with Austin Okocha were part of those that convinced Alex that he has a future with the Nigerian national teams than the English side, who are noted to use and dump most Africans that ditched their nations to play for them. NFF has already written to Arsenal with a view to allowing Iwobi extend the stay in the country beyond the Sunday notice given by the club. Toronto Football Club and England striker Jermaine Defoe has completed his move to Sunderland now, signing a 3.5-year deal with the club. Defoe, 32, played alongside Gus Poyet during the first of his 2 spells at Tottenham and was then coached by the Sunderland manager at White Hart Lane. Defoe could make his debut against Spurs at White Hart Lane if international clearance is expected received by 13:45 GMT on Saturday. He says it's a great club. He has always enjoyed and playing against Sunderland because of the stadium and the supporters. The full capped 55 times by England is 14th on the list of all-time Premier League goal scorers with 124 from his time with Spurs, West Ham and Portsmouth. He scored 11 times in 16 games in his 4th season with Toronto and had been training with Tottenham during the MLS close season. And now to boxing. 3 times former heavyweight world champion Muhammad Ali has been readmitted to hospital for treatment for a urinary tract infection. Family spokesman Bob Garner said Ali, 72, was in a stable condition in an undisclosed hospital and was expected to be released on Friday. Garner added there were further issues with the earlier diagnosis of a urinary tract infection. Ali was released from hospital earlier this month following a 2-week stay. The American retired from boxing in 1981 before being diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 1984. And now to other stories outside Nigeria. A suspected jihadist group recently targeted and a major anti-terror aid had been planning to kill policemen in the street and at police stations, according to Belgian prosecutors. They said the planned attacks were imminent, adding that 2 suspects shot dead in Vedas during the raids were still being identified. Searches were also carried out overnight in the Brussels area. 13 suspects had been arrested, while 2 were arrested in France. Guns, ammunition, and explosives, as well as police uniforms and a large amount of money were seized during the raids. Eric van der Sipt, another spokesman, added that the investigation has shown that the suspects had the intention to kill several policemen in the street and at police stations. Meanwhile, prosecutors say that they have arrested a dozen of people overnight suspected of helping Islamist militant gunmen in last week's killings in Paris as U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry arrived for talks. The arrests made in the region south of Paris, including Montreuil, where a young policeman was killed in the attacks, were in connection with suspected logistical support for the shootings. 17 victims and 3 attackers died in 3 days of violence that began on January 7 with an attack on the offices of satirical weekly Charlie Hebdo. Kerry arrived late on Thursday. He met with French Foreign Minister Laurent Fabius earlier on Friday before meeting with President François Hollande. Senior U.S. representatives were absent from a commemoration march held in Paris on Sunday that was attended by dozens of world leaders. Nearly 100 people have been feared dead in the Central African Republic after a boat caught fire and sank on the river in the strife-torn country. The barge sank after its motor exploded, starting a fire that quickly engulfed the vessel and prompting terrified passengers to jump overboard. The heavily laden vessel was carrying an estimated 100 people down the Umbangui River from the capital Bangui when the fire broke out near the village of Modali. A naval official said at least 80 people were on board the New Jerusalem when it left Bangui, 125 kilometers upstream from where it came to grief. Transitional authorities installed in January 2014 and led by interim President Kantle Samba Panza apparently lacked the manpower and appropriate infrastructure to help. The interim regime took over from Michel Jotodia, a rebel leader who was placed in power in March 2013 coup by mainly Muslim rebels and then stepped down under international pressure regarding atrocities by his forces. Ongoing conflict along ethnic and religious lines has killed thousands, displaced about a quarter of the population of some 4.7 million, and left vital infrastructure crippled or absent over much of deadlocked across the country, and badly maintained boats often sink on the Wambangui, where safety regulation such as total ban on navigation at night.
Suddenly there was a fire that engulfed the boat. When that happened, Everyone tried to save themselves. You had two options. If you didn't want to fall into the water and wanted to stay on the boat, you would burn with the boat. And if you preferred to escape the boat and fall into the water and you didn't know how to swim, you would drown.
Well, that wraps it tonight on CoreTV Primetime News. On behalf of everyone here, I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Thanks for being there.